Hello, my friends. This is Coach Aaron Saft on the Running is Life podcast. And today I have with me Paul Terranova. And Paul just completed the Rocky Mountain Grand Slam this summer. That consisted of the Hardrock 100, Leadville 100, Wasatch 100, and the Bear 100. So, some of those overlap, obviously, with the Grand Slam that I did. And Paul completed the Grand Slam himself back in 2012. Paul has done some amazing things, and you'll hear about some of those other adventures that he's had, some of the routes that he's done, some of the other races he's experienced. He's just, obviously, since 2012, you're able to do a lot of different things, and Paul has some great stories to share as we talk about the Grand Slam. So you can hear about not only the Rocky Mountain Grand Slam, but these other great things that Paul has done. I want to thank him. Paul is definitely an inspiration to me. I look up to Paul as somebody that continues to do amazing things in our sport. It gives me hope that I can, get back to doing some of these things. And I really appreciate Paul for his time. I want to say just an amazing, job to him. Congratulations for completing the Rocky Mountain Slam and doing it in such an amazing fashion. Paul had some incredible finishes at these races, as you'll hear about. So I'll give you my conversation here with Paul Terranova, and then afterwards, after our conversation, I will catch up with you and talk about everything that's going on in the world of running is life. So enjoy this conversation with Paul Terranova. Okay, Paul and I have been talking already, but Paul, I really appreciate you coming on, man. It's so good to see you, and I want to start off by just letting you kind of introduce yourself, who you are, where you come from, all your background, all that good stuff.
Sure. I'm Paul Terranova, currently live in Twin Lakes, Colorado, married to wife of the year, Meredith, for 19 years. It'll be 20 years in 2024. So
Nice.
We're looking forward to celebrating that. And grew up on the East Coast, born in Tennessee, grew up on the East Coast, and gradually worked my way here to the Mountain Time Zone. So it's been great. Yeah, former triathlete, now trail runner pretty much for the last 10 plus years. And yeah, still loving it now, getting into some more winter sports.
Are you currently sponsored by anybody?
CTS coaching.
CTS coaching. Yeah.
Got my hat on.
Right.
Yeah.
Coop
primary sponsor. Yeah, Jason Coop. Drymax socks.
Okay.
And ambassador for Patagonia.
Right on. That's a great one. That's awesome. Very cool. How long have you been working with Coop?
We've been working together since 2017.
Okay. Right on.
So it's been a great relationship, and
awesome.
feels like a great, right. I've got this great marriage, right, with Meredith, and then on the coaching side, I feel like I have the same thing with Coop.
Nice. So Meredith was recently on the podcast, and we talked about my own nutrition. So you've got a pretty good team around you with having Meredith kind of overseeing your nutrition. You've got Coop overseeing your training. Do you have anybody else that's on your team? Any type of physical therapist or anything like that? Like, what does your team look like aside from Meredith and Coop?
I've been pretty lucky since we've been here in Colorado not to need a lot of physical therapy or anything like that. I did, throughout the course of the Rocky Mountain Slam this summer, I did get massages in between those races here locally with Madison Hartshorn in town, and that was great just to flush the legs. And
there's like a lot of different types of massage. Does she have a special type of what does she does lymphatic? Does she do sports? Does she do deep tissue? What is her specialty?
I think she does all of that, and I'm just looking for a general flush of the legs and maybe some other problem areas, whether it be right lower back or stuff like that. So just to get the flush going and feel good about getting back to some light jogging in between the races.
Right on. We're going to get into the Rocky Mountain Slam for sure. I just want to touch on a few things prior. Do you do any type of strength training or cross training?
I do some strength training, mostly dumbbell based, just in the garage, right? Quick routine, kind of full body routine. In the summer, that might be once or twice a week,
Mhm.
and then might be every other week, something like that. Yeah, pull ups as well. Got a pull up bar down there, but nothing too crazy or intense. Just something to hit all the major muscle groups and yeah, feel good about the effort.
Right on. Right on. And um, so far as in training for the slam, your first race was Hardrock, and we're gonna get into each of the races, but what was your build to Hardrock? What did that look like? Did you guys set up a 16-week plan leading into Hardrock, or was it longer? What did that look like?
The whole premise for the whole summer was get in shape for Hardrock, right? You get in
Yeah,
shape for Hardrock as if it's your only race,
right.
and then recover and get back to a little bit of running before the next race, right? Because it was
Yeah,
5 weeks to Leadville, then 3 weeks to Wasatch, and 3 weeks to the Bear. So
yeah.
get in shape for Hardrock. And as far as the number of weeks, right, coming out of winter, we took the winter pretty light when it came to running. And I was doing a lot of skiing, and skimo races was the intensity for that, and had a good couple peak weeks. Particularly, we went out to Western States to crew, so got a good block of training the end of June.
Nice.
And the snow here in the Sawatch range was a little bit less than, right, the San Juans got crushed with snow, right? Areas like Steamboat to the north of us got a lot of snow. So we were able to get up high relatively early, which was good. So there
Yeah.
was good running all around here. In terms of number of weeks, that's a good question. I don't quite know how many
That's okay.
weeks. Um, but they're right. It's just get good fitness, be healthy going into the spring. I did do the Turquoise Lake 20K, which was a good shakeout in early June.
Okay.
And then there's a local race down in Buena Vista called the Spirit Trail Marathon that I
Yeah.
did later. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those were two good little check marks just to see where I'm at,
Yeah.
and yeah, then be able to pivot from there, and yeah, get in some bigger days, particularly early to mid June, leading
Right on.
into July.
And what was your biggest day or biggest weekend? Did you guys have like a big effort that you had planned, or did you do like I know Coop likes to do like the training camp style.
Yeah,
Did
a
you do that?
couple back to backs, right? Two right 8 hour back to backs, Friday, Saturday back to backs on
Okay.
the yeah, back to back 6 or 7 hour runs, at the tail end of a pretty taxing week. And I mean, hours might be anywhere from 15 to 20 hours in that range. I think we peaked out at a little over 20
Okay.
hours for a week. And that's with, right, a lot of vert as well. And,
Yeah. What did Vert
right,
look like?
uh, I mean, peak week probably 30,000
Wow. Okay.
feet.
So you basically did the Hard Rock, basically over the course of a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good way to couch that. Uh,
that's cool.
yeah, and a couple 20,000, 25,000 foot weeks,
Yeah.
but not, it's kind of like up and then
Yeah.
down, and
Yeah.
then a rest week and then up and down, right? I can't quite get up, stay up for a
Yes.
couple weeks and then come down.
Right.
That's too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough to recover, especially as we get older.
Yeah,
So,
older, right? We live at 9,700 feet, so you have to
yep.
take that into account as
Yes.
far as recovery goes.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Um, so Paul has also done the Grand Slam, which I think it was your wasn't it like your first year of ultra running that you, you did the Grand Slam.
My first
Um,
year of hundreds was 2012, Western States, right? Western States, Leadville, or Vermont, Leadville, and then Wasatch. And three of those four were Hardrock qualifiers
nice.
because Western and Leadville used to be Hardrock qualifiers back in the day.
And that's where you started getting your tickets for Hardrock was back then, 2012.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So it took you
yeah. It
about
was
11
it was a
years.
paper application to get into Hardrock, so you had to check mark right which races you did in
Gotcha.
2012 for the 2013 lottery.
So from 2012 to I guess it was the 2022 lottery is when you got in. So 10 years of lotteries it took to get in. Had you ever been on the wait list?
I had been on the wait list, but far down, far
Yeah.
down the wait list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And we had two
And
years
there were
where it was
what
canceled.
eight lotteries, right? Because of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
right COVID and then
COVID
the
and
snow
the
year.
avalanche year. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because I had got in the year before those 2 years. Well, I had got into the wait list, and then because of those 2 years, that's what really brought me down because I was pretty high on the wait list too. Wow, that's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about Rocky Mountain Grand Slam and the difference between the two slams. What races entail? You kind of spoke to which races you did, but I imagine there's a few more that you could do to be incorporated into the Rocky Mountain Slam. So which races are part of that?
Sure. My four that I picked: Hardrock in July, Leadville in August, which is right out our front door here, and then Wasatch and the Bear. So those are my four. And I know starting this year, they added on a couple extra
Okay.
that you can include just because of how hard it is to get into Hardrock. It can be challenging to get into Leadville as well. So
Mhm.
they've opened up the pool of eligible races in the Rocky Mountains to do, which I
Okay.
think is a great thing,
Yeah.
right? To be able to keep that slam alive and sustainable for the future.
Nice. And which races were those that they added?
They added so Bighorn has been part of it,
Okay. So you could also do Bigfoot.
and
And Jeff
they've
Browning did
added
Bighorn, right?
correct because he did not get into Leadville. So they added Uray 100,
Ooh, that's brutal.
Wyoming Range 100.
Okay. All right. So you have basically 7 races that you can choose from.
Yes,
Yeah.
and used to be that you had to do Hardrock and the Bear were the two mandatory races, whereas
Okay.
now the Bear is the only mandatory race because Hardrock is challenging to get into.
Yes. And um as with the regular Grand Slam, Wasatch is supposed to be your finale. Is the Bear supposed to be your finale? I'm not familiar with the timeline with
Yes,
some of the others. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Bear is right because it is the mandatory race, and typically the race director there, Cody Draper, right, has now still included. Yeah, the Rocky Mountain Slam is the finale, or sorry, the Bear is the finale of the Rocky Mountain Slam, and
Okay.
embraced that fully and helped organize everything and
So
get it
he
structured. And
he organizes the Rocky Mountain Slam as well?
yes,
Yeah. Okay. Is there I'm sorry I didn't look, but is there a website for the Rocky Mountain Slam?
there's a couple of places you can go either to ultra sign up. You
Okay.
can go to the ultra sign up page for the Rocky Mountain Slam, then
Okay.
run100s.com, which is Stan Jensen's
Mm-hmm.
website, has a lot of information and historical finishers
Okay.
for that. And yeah, it's been great. And it was a seed that was planted since doing the Grand Slam in 2012. I at the time was living in Texas, and no Texan had ever done the Rocky Mountain Slam, and I
I
don't
gotcha.
think any Texan has done it since. And yeah, now that I'm a Colorado resident, I still don't think a Texan has done the Rocky Mountain Slam. So Texas, get after it.
All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, um, okay, and then
I'm super thankful, right, for right taking so long to get into Hardrock. It was really a blessing that now that I've been in Colorado for a couple of years, a couple seasons of training, just to have a different experience than I would have had
yeah,
living in Texas.
that's cool. Um, and I want to talk about a bit of that too. So many things to talk about. So from the Ultra Sign It page, there's also
And look, I'm drinking coffee out of my Hard Rock
oh
finisher mug
yeah, you
that
got
came in
that's
the
you,
mail
yeah,
this
that's
week.
cool.
So
Yeah, you got the
thank you,
green.
Dale.
I got the reverse color. So Paul, for that nobody can see it because we're gonna be in audio, but he's got the green with white letters. I have white with green letters for the Hard Rock Cup. Yeah, that's a nice touch with all the finishers on it. I like that.
Right on.
That's
Right on.
cool.
I've heard from people that have done them before that don't put your coffee mug in the dishwasher because it'll fade
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
printing. So I
Yes.
got that
Ours
advice
is
from Nick Petitella, one of my longtime pacers and
nice.
friends and
Yes.
adventure buddies. He said, hand wash it.
Yes.
Don't put it in the dishwasher.
Ours is just ornate. Ours is on one of the shelves. Um,
You don't drink out of it?
I break coffee mugs a little too easily, so I've switched over to metal
Okay.
just because I am nefarious for breaking coffee mugs. So I don't want to break that one, obviously.
Oh,
So yeah, so I'm just put that one away because that's pretty special.
okay.
That's cool. Yes, and the last on Ultrasign, there's also a link for the website. So that brings you to the Bear website, and under the Bear website, there is
Correct.
more information about the Rocky Mountain Slam, which is really cool that they've incorporated 7 races into this. Um, so with the Grand Slam, there's a registration fee, like because they do trophy, etc. Is there a fee associated with registering for the Rocky Mountain Slam?
There's a
Yeah.
nominal, I
Okay.
want to say $75
Hmm.
or so, something like that. And you get at the conclusion, well, you can't see it, but you get a wooden box, Rocky Mountain Slam 2023, engraved with your name
Oh
on the
wow.
inside, in which you can store your medals or
Nice.
your buckles
Oh, that's cool.
from the Rocky Mountain Slam.
Maybe
So
you could take a picture of that and we could include it at the social media post so that people can see
sure,
what you won.
I think I already maybe on Strava
Okay.
somewhere.
Cool.
There's a couple of
Yeah.
photos, but yeah, we could definitely do
That'd be
that.
cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So thanks to Cody and right. I know Andrew Barney, who's a longtime Rocky Mountain Slammer, was also part of making sure that the series has life to it. So thanks to him for helping foster that.
that's cool. Yeah. I mean, this is it's a lesser known one, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. But you learned about it back in 2012. Do you know the history about when this approximately started?
Yeah. So I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was the genesis of it all.
Mm,
And yeah, Stan's website on Run 100s, right, has a lot
yes.
more detail about how that all started. And yeah, it's just some great history. I know Rock Horton was part of that. Leland Barker, the longtime Bear race director, before Cody, and yeah, it just has some pretty cool history and the names of
Yeah.
people that have towed the line for that. I know Carl in 2006 probably had one of his probably arguably one of the best years in ultra running.
Mm.
Um, yeah, at least on the male side, if you look at his results from 2006, uh, not just in the Rocky Mountain Slam, but outside of that, pretty incredible stuff.
That's cool. Um, so does Carl have the kind of the fastest summation of those?
He
Is
does.
yeah,
He does. If
yeah,
you yeah look at his times from 2006. He was well under 90 hours total for
Okay.
all four of his races,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah,
What was your total in
I think it
comparison?
was 90, 92 and change,
Wow. So you were
92
pretty darn
low,
close. You were pretty darn close.
9202.
Did Jeff finish this year?
Unfortunately, Jeff did not.
Okay.
He got injured about midway through the bear,
Okay.
tripped and fell, hit his quad on a boulder, and
Oh,
soldiered on for 20, 25 more miles until it just was not bearable anymore.
gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I think he's made a full recovery from that. So
Good. Good. Good.
kudos to him. And
Yeah.
I think he's already thinking about what Rocky Mountain Slam 2.0 looks like for him.
And uh, how many people tried the slam this year? Do you know how many
I think
people
it
went
was
after?
just
Just
Jeff, Andrew, and me
okay.
were the only three
And did you say
going
Andrew
for it.
completed it?
He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So two of you completed it right on. Yeah. So I think there were 17 that started the Grand Slam this year and seven finished. It was a little bit, I hate to be in the year of an asterisk with Vermont getting canceled, because it almost felt, like it took away from the spirit of the slam, not having Vermont in there, not through any fault of our own, of course, but it also seemed like people extended the slam a little too far because, as we talked about, there's supposed to be a finale, and I'm not passing judgment. I'm just saying, like, in the spirit of the Grand Slam, you're supposed to finish at Wasatch. Due to the cancellation, some people did races after Wasatch, which, again, we've got some asterisks, but there was, seven finishers out of 17. Leadville taking out a ton of people. But that so you out of the races, obviously you did Hardrock for the first time. That was your first Hardrock finish. You have run Leadville in the past because you mentioned you did it in the Grand Slam. Have you done Leadville any other times? So that would be two. Have you done Leadville anymore?
Just two. It was my second Leadville, my second
Okay.
Wasatch, and my second Bear.
Wow. Okay. So you
Yeah,
had seen three of the four courses. Wow. Um,
correct. Yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha.
And
Um,
the Bear was my 20. So partially by design, the last couple of years, the Bear was my 25th 100.
wow.
So kind of nice little bookend to have it, right? The Grand Slam starting it, and Rocky Mountain Slam at the end of it. And right, that's 2,500s through the course of what, 11 years. And yeah, I'll be 50 in a couple weeks. So this was right in celebration of that, right, advanced
Yeah,
celebration of turning 50 to
that's cool.
really have a big summer.
That's very cool.
And yeah, those 2,500s don't include the collegiate loop, which is 162 miles here on portions of the Colorado Trail, and then Nolan's 14, which was last year.
Cool, man. You've done some cool stuff, my friend.
But right, but there's so much more cool stuff to do.
There is absolutely. You are
It
correct.
never stops.
It does not. It does not. Out of those, the four that you did this year, did you have a favorite?
Hardrock for sure.
Yeah.
Right, Hardrock,
Yeah.
just the first time being out there, and right, I've paced out there a couple times and
Mhm.
help some buddies get to the finish line, and seen the course in one direction or the other over the course of years. And so yeah, to be able to finally put it all together, be able to get in and kiss the rock was incredible. Right, Leadville was great because it's right, we get to sleep in our bed here and roll up to the start line and sleep in our bed right afterwards, so that's really cool. And going back to Wasatch, right, Wasatch was the end of the Grand Slam for the both, right, us,
Mhm.
and I had been saving it for the Rocky Mountain Slam to do it again.
That's cool.
So it was fun to go back and right, remember the parts that I knew were hard, and then there were parts that I'm like, I don't remember this at all. This is I must have blocked it out of my memory.
Oh,
And then going back to the bear was great too, because I had done the bear in 2021, and yeah, fun to go back, and yeah, it's just great.
cool, cool. Um, would you say your highest moment was when you got to kiss the rock in the slam?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that was just so great to put together a good race. And I'm really thankful and blessed, right, for support crew and Meredith for being there for all of those, my pacers that I had and helped me out during the course of the summer, and never had to put a rain jacket on for all four races, which is incredible. Who would have thought that? Right?
Right.
You pack all this snivel gear and rain gear and yeah, plans for bad weather, and then you never use it.
That's fantastic. And tell everybody about what was your finish at Hardrock?
Hardrock, let me look it up so I don't misrepresent myself. 7:54, so right under 28 hours. Which was really, yeah, super happy with that. No complaints at all for how that played out.
And you ended up what place?
Eighth overall,
Eighth overall.
sixth in the men's division,
That's
right?
awesome.
Because Courtney and
Yes,
Annalise were
crushing
just in front of me. Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah, crushing, just
absolutely.
so good,
Yeah,
so good.
that's incredible. That's awesome. Very cool. What was the lowest moment in the slam for you? Did you have one?
Oh, so, yeah. So middle of Wasatch, I think it was. Yeah, Jeff and I came into one of the middle aid stations, maybe mile 49 or so, and it was crazy hot as you come into Lambs Canyon, right? That underpass, and
Yeah.
I knew that I was warm and right was starting to cramp, and right I had been taking salts and trying to keep everything in balance, and yeah, my crew had a little cup of spicy V8, which right is a good push of sodium. It's salty. All right. So, and that just looked and sounded fantastic. So I drank that real quick, and right, sat down to change my shoes. And I think Jeff was doing the same thing too. And right, they had other drinks for me. I think one was a sun-kissed orange soda. I was like, oh, that sounds great. Right. So spicy V8, and this is totally self-imposed, right? Because everything was ice cold, and I had some sparkling water, and I'm sitting down changing my shoes, and then we stand up, right, to to leave, and all right, that concoction of all of that carbonated in my stomach was not good at all. So my apologies to the aid station volunteers and everybody who was there, because it was not pretty, but I salvaged, right. I was able to triage coming up the road, which was freshly chip sealed,
hmm
right, as you
hmm
leave there, and
hmm
just the smell of asphalt, and
Mm,
be able
yes.
to take a negative and be able to just nurse my stomach
Yeah.
back to some sort of reasonable uh homeostasis, because it was not good right there for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um,
And I lost sight of Jeff, right? We left together, and then he got a great gap on me, and so that was one mistake. That was a big rookie mistake that I made mid race.
mhm.
So I was a little bit bummed about that, right? Because
Yeah.
I know better
Yeah.
than to do something like that. But I also know better, right? Not to try and push it
hmm
or keep pushing it coming out of that, and be able to salvage it. And I don't think I lost any significant places um after that, because I finished up fourth.
Nice.
um yeah, maybe that one guy Jonathan Love passed me, and yeah, he and Jeff dueled for second place at the end, but he was moving great.
So you ended up fourth at
Fourth.
Wasatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Another Crimson Cheetah buckle. So, and I think a little bit faster than my time in 2012.
Very cool. That's cool. Um, something that I want to go back to, you had mentioned that you're in Twin Lakes now. Um, was the move associated with the slam in order to prep better for the slam, or something, just a
Oh,
life change that you guys just did?
COVID purchase. We were out in summer of 2020 and rented a place down in Buena Vista, which is just about 30 minutes south of here, and doing the collegiate loop, scouting the collegiate loop, and then completing it that fall. And one of the rentals that we were in was for sale, and so right, we start looking at places, and that snowballs into a place that right you think is going to be a part-time place to go, and it quickly turns into full-time.
Of course.
And yeah, yeah. so so we were part-time, we were splitting time the following year, and then sold our place in Austin early 2022.
Mm, that's cool. Um, and then we kind of touched on Hardrock and Wasatch, and if there's more to those stories, obviously we can get into those. Um, let's go in between those two was Leadville, which you said is basically out your front door because you're, as we just said, in Twin Lakes. Um, how did Leadville go for you?
Leadville went well. I was surprised my climbing legs going up and over Hope Pass and back weren't as fresh or springy as I would have liked.
And you
So
had 5 weeks, you said, between
5 weeks.
Hardrock. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And with that said, how did you feel okay going into race day? Like, did you feel pretty recovered?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Felt good.
Good.
The backside of Hope Pass coming back from Winfield was really hot.
Yes. Yes.
So had to manage right hydration and
Hmm.
yeah, effort coming over the backside. Um, did a much better job coming out of Twin Lakes. Picked up my pacer Noah Williams, who's a local guy here, and yeah, we made really good work coming back.
Mm,
So that was
that's cool.
really fun for that. And yeah, he took me all the way to Top of Sugarloaf Space Camp and switched out pacers there. My buddy Andrew Leatherby then took me to May Queen and beyond. We actually went past May Queen. Um, so yeah, so it was a pretty good race. Would have liked to have a better up and down Hope Pass, but yeah, you take what the day gives you.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think everybody was suffering on on Hope Pass. I didn't see
It
anybody that,
was
except for who was it? Was it PJ that ended up winning?
JP.
JP. Maybe I have
Is
it
it JP?
transposed. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So I mean, when he came up and over, and he was, that guy was in a zone. It's like he looked like he was just having a day. But I can certainly say, like, we had a local here in Western North Carolina, Luke Paulson, that he took second.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I don't know how I totally missed him. Like, it's, one of the people that I know, and I like, I didn't even see him. Saw you, but I mean, it was just everybody looked like they're like, coming up and over hope. That's for sure. Um, but yeah, that's an what it, and you ended up running what time?
I ran 1943.
1943,
So
broke
so
20.
sub
That's
20.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that put you where?
That was six.
Sixth place, man. So top 10 finishes thus far. It's awesome, man. That's so cool. Um, right on. And then the bear, right? So you said you had 5 weeks between Hardrock and Leadville, 3 weeks between Leadville and Wasatch. How did those 3 weeks go? And what did those look like training wise?
Not just recover, massage, get back to some light running, repack, right? Unpack everything, get it all
Right.
cleaned out, start repacking,
Yeah.
working on your fuel plan again,
Yeah.
right? The logistics of that. And the bear we decided to drive out for,
Okay.
Wasatch, we flew out to Salt Lake and flew back, obviously, and then decided to drive to the bear, just because right point to point, and you go north, and then we came through southern Wyoming on the way back. So yeah, doing all of those little things for it. So yeah, not a lot of training. Just yeah, get back to running, make sure everything is working well.
What did you notice in between? How much time did it take for you to feel kind of recovered? Um, I know, like, my coach and I, we were working, we'd start running just light after like 7 days, and I could tell I wasn't ready yet. And then about 10 days is where it hit. They say that a mile for every 10 miles you race is kind of, a good rule of thumb. And that's kind of what I found is like at 10 days, I was like, yeah, I feel recovered again. Did you find the same?
Yeah, it took a good 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Good 2 weeks to start feeling halfway decent for particularly at the end.
Did you start running any sooner than like that 10 days to 14 days? Or did you take like the full time?
Um, I probably took, yeah, the next 2 weeks, right? The 2 weeks after were short, right? Hiking 30 minutes to hour, and then maybe that third week before was hour runs, maybe 90 minutes
Did you do any
or
biking
so.
or anything? Um,
A
just really
little
hiking.
bit, not
Yeah,
not much,
not much.
not much cycling.
Yeah, right on.
Which in hindsight I probably could have incorporated the year of the Grand Slam. I also had the Hawaii Ironman in
That's right.
October after Wasatch, so I was doing a lot of swimming and biking
Mm,
in between those races.
gotcha. Yeah, right on. Okay. Um, Anything else you want to touch on either Leadville or Wasatch or Hardrock for that matter? Well, I
Just
guess you could.
yeah, if right, if doing the Rocky Mountain Slam is something that you're right thinking of for anybody listening, yeah, absolutely do it. It is just one great way to see amazing portions of like Colorado and Utah into Idaho, and just the classic, the hard classic races will get you ready for just about anything. So if you want a big summer, yeah, the Grand Slam, awesome. Rocky Mountain Slam, amazing. Be prepared to be humbled, and yeah, hopefully you won't have to wear a rain jacket like I did, but I doubt it.
Oh my God.
You'll
Uh,
probably get some fine mountain weather.
well, and you had touched on, you said that you had to reformulate your nutrition plan, between each. What went into that reformulation? Like, what were the considerations that you took when you were, kind of reformulating that?
Oh, not necessarily reformulate, but just repack and right, get
Okay.
all my right, figure out how much you need between aid stations or drop
Mm,
bags, and
yeah.
yeah, just that logistics side of planning, because I always look at hundreds as a third physical, a third mental, and a third logistical,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Just the logistics of drop bags, what stuff, yeah, right, when are you going to take a light or a backup light,
Right.
so just the unpacking and the repacking of fuel. Yeah, not a lot of reformulation, just
Do you
organizing.
do you use any type of tool to like Ultra Pacer, for instance, to kind of look at like a timeline to say, I'll be at this point at this time, or, it potentially I'll have this much time between aid stations. Do you do any of that, or is it just basic calculations? Like if I'm on this pace, this is where I'll be at this aid station.
Just generally number of hours in between aid stations or drop bags or crew points, and then figure out, yeah, calories right, that I'll need between then and add 100, right, just to have a
Mhm.
right buffer or so, and right, know that you can always take some from the aid station and nibbles here and there. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah.
and then look at historical times of either what I've run or where I think I'm going to run for those races, and be able to come up with a reasonable range of times of
Yeah.
how long those sections will take.
Um, just out of curiosity, feel free to answer or not. Did you have conversations in between races with Coop? And if so, what did those look like?
Yeah, we would debrief either on the phone or just text or in person, right? Because he was out at Hardrock and out at Leadville. So be able to, and Wasatch too. I think he was out at Wasatch as
Mhm.
well, which was really really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, be able to yeah, talk through what went right, what went wrong, and yeah, come up with a plan for the next couple of weeks, which I pretty much already knew what that was going to look like, and make
Sure.
sure there were no niggles,
Yeah.
right? Things that needed to be taken care of, and yeah, get after it for the next one.
Right on. With something like Hard Rock being your first experience there, and obviously you had kind of crude and pace there, so you knew the course and such. Did you get any other insights? Like did you guys have a conversation going into that race, like, race strategy kind of thing?
I think the big thing for going into Hard Rock this year was the snow pack that was
Hmm.
still there, and how to deal with that, and are there any equipment changes or things to do differently. And so it turned out, right, no, you're just going to go with regular trail shoes, probably not going to bring traction, but just make sure, right, you have your poles, have gloves, right, to be able to get up and down some of those snowy, icy sections
Hmm.
for that. And yeah, thanks to him for helping. I know he helped get one of my pacers that I had planned had gotten sick the week of the race, and so he was able to wrangle Zach Miller to
Nice.
help run me from Uray to Telluride, which was really cool because yeah, when Zach Miller's your pacer, you gotta be right running just about every step, because it was great. And then he turned me over to Stephen Moore, who I had paced before, and then our friend Esther Kendall had done an early stint early and then one late. So yeah, it was just a great team.
Nice.
So
Nice.
thanks to Coop for being out there for me, and the support that he gave me, and helping get me ready and stay healthy through the whole summer.
Yeah, for sure. Did you, and forgive me for all the ancillary questions, but I think a lot people can take a lot away from what you did here. Did you guys take any special considerations for heat training, like for especially for like Wasatch?
We did actually, going into Wasatch, couple sauna sessions, sauna protocol, maybe 7 or 8 times in the sauna in the 10 days before the race, before Wasatch.
Okay.
That helped. And maybe in hindsight, we could have done that before Leadville, right? Thinking, okay, Leadville could be warm. And yeah, mental note is, or for other people, if you're coming to Leadville, if it's not warm, it's going to feel warm,
Mm.
right? Particularly on some of those exposed sections, um, middle of the race.
Yeah. It's the biggest takeaway that I find is that you were able to make the acclimatizations for a number of variables that were often at times that a lot of us that come to races like Leadville, we're not afforded those opportunities. But you took care of altitude, right? Like you're able to train at altitude for all of your events. You took care of, well, pretty much heat. You prepped for that for Wasatch. We weren't sure about what Leadville would be, but yeah, in hindsight, you could have. You took care of the nutrition and hydration variable, right?
Yep.
So you were just controlling all the controllables. Was there any other consideration that you took in preparing for all of this? Obviously you had the training adaptations. You were doing volume. You were doing vertical gain. You had strength training component. Is there anything else that you can think of that, you took into consideration? You took gear considerations, it sounds like, because you thought about the snowpack. What else? Is there anything else?
For me, right, the right, just making sure to get a really right the best night's sleep you can get every night and not dig yourself a hole. So really thankful, knock on wood. I don't think I was sick at all this year.
Hmm.
So didn't get run down. And if you need to sleep a little bit extra or get to bed early, do it. So important for that. So yeah, taking care of your body, taking care of your sleep. Um, Hardrock was warm as well, right? It was a sneaky warm, hot during the day, so you had to scoop like those Solomon filter flasks are incredible,
Yes.
right? To be able to scoop from a stream. I know I scooped so much at Hardrock. I scooped at Leadville, coming right those creeks that were running because yeah, we did have creeks that ran pretty much all summer here.
Hmm.
So being able to scoop water on the backside of Hope Pass coming back from Winfield was key because it was super easy to run out of water. Even if you took
Yes.
2 or 3 flasks from the aid station, by the time you got to Sheep Gulch, you could be out of water.
Right.
So being able to know where the water sources were, have a plan for filtering, and yeah, so that you show up to Hopeless or Twin Lakes and you're not totally in the hole.
Right. Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, thinking about those factors, and that's also the logistic side of it as well. Bringing a filter flask with you so that you can scoop and safely drink water. I will say, so a funny 2021 bear story that after the race, well, I had the last 20 miles, I had eaten a lot of those little mini Three Musketeers,
yes.
right? Candy from the aid station. And I think I solely subsisted on those and finished. It was dark. We get back to the rental place and a shower. I get totally sick to my stomach. And Meredith said, "Oh, you ate too much chocolate, right? Shame on you." And then the next couple of weeks, I have no appetite. I'm losing weight, not feeling great. And finally, I go to the clinic, and at that point, I thought I had Giardia,
Mm.
right, which I had never had before, and always had filtered water. And sure enough, I had Giardia. So that was the 2021 bear
Oh.
story. Was the post Giardia from that. I don't think I got it from the race because I didn't scoop any water there because there are right lots of cows that are grazing in those
Sure.
fields. So there's not a lot of clean water sources,
Right. Right.
even with a filter.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned. So at this year's bear, I was right knowing right you have your vest with your flasks and then also take a handheld or 2 handhelds, right? Because some of those sections are so pretty long and hot.
Yeah, good considerations. Absolutely. Um, Man, Paul, you've had so many cool experiences. Paul and I were at UTMB in 2019, so he's gotten Western States, he's gotten UTMB, he's gotten Hardrock. What else is on the bucket list? I know you said there's so many cool things out there, but do you have some big ones that you still want to tick off?
I'd love to go Hardrock the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put in for Hardrock for 2024 to go clockwise. Um, Last year I did Nolan's south to north. So in future years, I'd like to go north to south. And
Okay.
I think the number of people that have done Nolan's in both directions is pretty small. Maybe under, maybe you can count them on one hand.
Mm.
I don't think there's many people that have done it both directions under 60 hours. So that would be fun to do in the future. Tour de Gens.
Okay.
I had a slot, I think, for 2018. That was the year I stress fractured my femur, so I
Mm.
wasn't able to do Western. was to do the collegiate loop that summer. Had a slot to tour that I had to give up. So that's in the back of the mind as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Have you done a 200? Yeah.
No,
No. No.
no,
Okay.
not a full 200. Just
Okay.
just collegiate loop 162 was the
That's the
furthest,
longest. Okay.
and
Got it.
yeah, I'd like to take a crack at Barkley if I
Okay.
ever get in
Yeah.
as well. So yeah,
How many times
put
you
my
applied that?
navigation. This is my third. This is my
Third.
third time putting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. Are we allowed to talk about that or not?
I'm sure Laz isn't listening.
Okay.
So, but even so, I don't think it's the worst thing to talk about how many times you applied. So I think we're
Yeah.
okay there. That's great. That's cool. Well, I mean,
We'll just put it out in the world.
yes, it's
Yeah.
the others. That's awesome, man. Those are some really cool. Yeah, I'd like to do tours too. So, very neat. That's cool. Any plans to race abroad? For anything else?
No, I think I've itched the UTMB TDS bug.
Mm-hmm.
TDS I did in
Okay.
2017, right? UTMB 2019.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see also what Meredith wants to do. Right, next year is
Yeah.
going to be she'll turn 50 next November, so she gets right of first refusal for anything big or epic for next year. So
Nice.
I may
Nice.
have to defer my plans or aspirations for 2025.
Yeah. Well, and they just announced the what did they call it? The World Trail Running Series. They got together and collectively made, I think it's 9 races. So that we're gonna have like a world majors. Similar to the 5 or 6 marathon majors. That's cool. So we got some cool stuff coming up. I think that's pretty neat that our sport's evolving a bit. So but Paul,
Yes,
man.
we'll make reservations for the private jet so we can go to all
Yes.
those great places.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just glad that they're not trying to make people, do it all in one year. Like they understand that there's an impact that is made by, saying you got to do this all in one year.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough enough. I mean, you've done 2 slams. The logistics of it are just
Yeah.
incredible. And in summation, do you have like anything that you would tell people about logistics, the financial commitments, stuff like that? Any comments to make there, for advice for people that are thinking about either the Grand Slam or the Rocky Mountain Slam?
Yeah, have a travel agent
Okay.
or or a spouse or somebody close to you on your team that is very good at making travel arrangements and rental cars and hotels or
Right.
air, right.
Yes.
Yeah, you name it, and right, enjoys it, play the points game, right, the free tickets and all of that, the upgrades, just to try and minimize the stress on you. So
Yeah.
I'm lucky that Meredith handles that side of our racing and training. So I'm really really fortunate that I just have to listen and be supportive when plans don't always go the way that you want, right? Things
Yeah.
cancel, or you have to weather's rolling in, so you're gonna have to leave earlier or later or something like that. So
Yep.
yeah, be flexible.
Right on. Well, Paul, man, I so appreciate your time and congratulations on another slam. That's incredible, and all the finishes. You did amazing at all of these. So that's so cool. 92 hours and completion, 2 hours off the, what would we title this? The fastest
No, I
accumulation
think
times. What?
I think he was 86 or
Oh, 86.
87,
Okay, well,
maybe
still.
right under 87 hours
Okay,
total, something like that,
gotcha,
if you
gotcha.
add up all of this time. So I was hoping just to go under 90
Okay,
by the time the bear kind of rolled down, and I took a crack at it. It
yeah,
didn't pay off, but it's okay. It's
that's
okay. I
right.
was happy to keep
Yes.
the rubber side down and finish, and
Is
yeah.
it a one and done or?
What?
Would you ever do the Rocky Mountain Slam again?
No, no, I'm perfectly happy with one Grand Slam and one Rocky Mountain Slam.
Right on.
That's a big summer for everybody,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
as you know, as you
you do
know.
have another race this year. Do you want to mention that?
Hellgate 100K plus going back to Virginia. Classic David Horton. Yeah, it'll be the week after my 50th birthday. So what other way to celebrate that and see some good friends on the East Coast? So totally stoked to go suffer appropriately on the Hellgate course.
That's fantastic. Well, happy early birthday. Paul, how can people connect with you?
Sometimes I'm on Instagram, Strava for sure, right? I'm always picking up trash
Okay.
here in Lake County. So when you're out there on a run, because running for me, right, can feel like a selfish pursuit. And
Sure.
so if you're cleaning up your community while you're out running,
I do the
just
same.
bring a couple of those plastic garbage bags
Yeah.
that they charge you 5 or 10 cents for, put it to good use, pick up some beer cans, some fireball shooters, whatever it is that's in your community. And yeah, sometimes you'll find some weird stuff on the road, and sometimes some of it's usable, some of it's not. But yeah, so that's kind of turned into a small little passion project of mine, is to gradually clean up, right, the roads and the
Yeah,
trails
that's great.
here. It's a beautiful world, and if we can leave it a better place than when we found it, then that's what we should do.
It's a wonderful message to end on. I appreciate you, Paul, and thank you for catching up with me, my friend.
Thank you as well, Aaron.
Congratulations once again to Paul Terranova. I'm super excited for him. And I want to say thank you once again, man, Paul. It's just amazing and inspiring, the things that you continue to do. I really appreciate that. It's, it means a lot to me as an athlete that, wants to stay after it. So Paul, thanks, man. Thanks for being amazing. So far as everything else that's going on here in the world of running is life. Man, I just finished a nutrition certification. It's sports nutrition certification. Now, what does that mean? Well, it does not mean that I can prescribe nutrition advice. It does not mean that I can diagnose nutrition problems. It just gives me a more formal education and understanding as to what our bodies do and need in relation to running. I have a better understanding of what's going on and how to better facilitate recovery and, basically fueling for my athletes. Things that I can talk about with them or, refer them to a dietitian for. So it just broadens my scope, right? Like I understand a little bit more of the nutrition component of running, and it's basically how essential it is to our performance and our lives. So great certification. It was a lot. So it's something that I need to keep revisiting from time to time to make sure that I'm grasping concepts, because they aren't concepts that I am as familiar with. But I'm glad to have this knowledge and be able to share it with my athletes. So speaking of which, I've had a number of people kind of reach out about coaching. Super appreciate having those conversations. It's not to say that I am the coach for everyone. And, if you're interested in coaching, if you're interested in talking about, 2024 and your goals for 2024, reach out through whatever way is easiest for you. All of my contacts are in the show notes. Happy to have those conversations. I will send you my call schedule and we'll have a phone conversation. We can talk about your goals and how I train people and see if it's something that you're interested in, if I'm, the right type of coach for you. Because as I said, I may not be the right type of coach for you. You may be looking for something specific in which, I may not be the right guy. But again, please, reach out. I believe in, what I do, and, I'm happy to share what I do and how I do things. I'm an open book. I'm here, for your needs. I don't have a contract. It's something that I don't believe if you're not training, then yeah, I don't think you should be paying me. So I don't have a contract. I want to make sure it's working for you and you're paying for the services that you want to get. Right now, we're actually having year-end meetings with all my athletes. So my call schedule is kind of busy at the moment, just because I'm having those conversations with my athletes and making sure that they're getting what they need. It's accountability for themselves as well as for me. We're checking in on the year, how their goals were or were not met. Talking about their training, what they liked, what they didn't like, maybe what they want to incorporate moving forward, what they want to see more of. So we're having those conversations right now. I think it makes me a better coach and it makes them a better athlete. So obviously, just I'm all about the communication and trying to make sure that we're doing the right things. So that said, again, feel free to reach out. I'm $125 a month. I try to keep it at a rate that's affordable for the people that I want to coach. I like the ordinary average runner, whether you're front of the pack or back of the pack or in between. I'm here for that. All the runners. I'm happy to coach whoever. You don't need to be experienced or an elite. I'm happy to coach everybody, and I try to treat everybody equally and fairly. So that's my coaching. That's my soapbox. I'll get off that now, and kind of just keep talking about everything else that's going on, my training. I want to say congratulations to Natalie Daniels. Oh my gosh, she just did a route that she wanted to establish an FKT on. In the process, she set the supported FKT for the Gritchell route, 100 miles from Grandfather Mountain to Mount Mitchell, but she continued on the Mountains to Sea Trail, ran to Mount Pisgah, summited Mount Pisgah, and back down, continued on the Mountains to Sea, all the way to the Art Loeb Trail at the Black Balsam Trailhead, and then dropped down the Art Loeb Trail all the way to Davidson River Trailhead where she finished. Probably just over 200 or so miles. Incredible performance. I got to pace her from I summited Mount Pisgah with her and came back down, and then I took the Mountains to Sea all the way to Black Balsam, where she picked up Teresa Bowser for the Art Loeb section, and Teresa brought her home. It was incredible to share this experience with her. Not only is she an athlete of mine, she's a friend, and being able to crew and pace and be a part of that experience was amazing from both sides, and I really enjoyed that. I'm so glad that I get to do these sort of things. It is a privilege and an honor. Getting a little bit emotional. Really proud of her. I really am. Next weekend, I'll be at the Looking Glass 100K. I am the captain for the aid station at the Buck Springs location, which is up by Mount Pisgah. So as you come by, if you're in the race, please say hello. I've got about 9 of my own athletes racing. So again, it's going to be great to see people out there. It's mile 42 into the race. So, like I said, if you're around, if you're crewing, if you're pacing, please stop by, say hey. If I'm busy, I apologize. I've got to be taking care of the runners. I got to remember my place and what I'm doing and not try to be too overly social, but I certainly want to say hello if you drop by, because I always appreciate when people say hello. Other than that, man, if you have any ideas for the podcast, anything that you want to hear from, questions you may have on anything, training, racing, whatever, please bring them to my attention. If there's guests that you want to hear from or topics that you want, let me know. Drop me a line. Again, all my communications are in the show notes. You can visit my website at runningislife.run, and there's contact forms through there, old podcasts, old newsletters, all that stuff's on the website. My coaching, my philosophy, all that stuff, all on the website. So please check that out. Happy to hear from you, whether you have positive or negative feedback. Please let me know. Thank you. Continue to, subscribe, like, leave a review. All that stuff helps this and spreads the word. Share the podcast if you feel it's helpful for somebody. Love that. I appreciate all of that. And especially thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you want to support on Patreon, again, that's what keeps me going on this thing. You can do so on the links in the show notes, for as little as $1 a month. But it's not necessary in any means. I want to keep this, free to everybody. I did pick up a ambassadorship for 2020-24. It was more of an informal ambassadorship this year with USWay. USWE packs, but we've become more of a formal engagement. And if you want, I will put the discount code in my show notes. So if you want to check out Useway packs and use the discount code on their website, that will be in the show notes. I'll be talking more about the Useway packs. You heard in my episodes what Useway I used. I'll probably do a more formal review on my YouTube channel. So you can check out my YouTube channel at Aaron Saft. All right. I think that's it for this time. I'll be releasing a episode before Thanksgiving, but just in case, I really hope you have a great Thanksgiving and are enjoying yourself, are enjoying your training. If you have a goal race coming up, I wish you the best of luck. So thank you, my friends. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the Running is Life podcast. Keep moving forward.